Hello and welcome to the wonderful world tie-dye. I'm Mr. Tie-Dye and I'll be your host today. And we're going to speak about what I call overdying or re-dye or a double dye. And what that is when you get a t-shirt that you've tried something and the design just didn't come out the way that you had hoped, instead of throwing that t-shirt away or trying to sell it, which selling it is great, somebody will probably love it, but you can also save it. So here's one that I dyed a while back. I was trying to fold and it just didn't come out the way I wanted. So I'm going to tie this back up and do an overdye on it. So what I've done is soak this in soda ash, I've spun it out, let it, and then hung it to dry. And now what I'm going to do is I want to tie the design is the same on the front and the back. But now I'm going to do an overdye and I'm going to put a different design on the front and on the back. So what I'm going to do to start with is, let's see, we're going to separate the front and the back. So what I like to do is just take one sleeve, poke it all the way through into the other sleeve. And this one's not cooperating at the moment, but we'll wrangle it in. So once I get one sleeve in the other, then I just line up the seams here. And then you can usually, once you get everything all lined up, get the two sleeves even, you can give it kind of a shake. And if you pull up on the shoulder seams, get those lined up in there also. So basically I'm just opening this up, lining those two shoulder seams up. And once you get it straightened, you can usually shake it out, lay it down, then you can usually pick up the front of the tee and the back of the tee and shake them out. And now you have your t-shirt folded in half, but the front and the back are separate from each other. So this here is going to allow me to tie one design on the front and a different design on the back. So for now what I'm going to do is just pick up the front, flip that one to the back, and I'm going to do a Ron Star on this. So I'm just going to start here in the center of this weird design just because it just is going to be a nice starting place. And I'm going to tie this up with Sinew just because Sinew is going to block the dye from getting in some of the places. I can see that I used Sinew when I tied this before and I had white lines. So now what's going to happen is when I tie the Sinew on the colored designs, then that's what's going to show through. So just the same way that this white shows through, I'm going to overdye this in black, so I will have these colored lines that show through just like this. So what I'm going to do is just keep folding this up. And I do have a video for the Ron Star where I go a little bit slower on this. I'll put a link to that down in the description box if you need to find that. But we're just going to quickly tie this up. And then I'm going to break out my Sinew. Oh, and this here's my nice Sinew Dowel here. Got that from Nikolay over in Russia. These things are excellent tools. I have more than one, so I love them. In fact, let's take a moment to discuss his newest one. This one here has a little attachment. I don't know if you can see the hole right there on the end. What that does, he sends this drill bit attachment. Yeah, now you can see that. And that fits right in there. And then you go and spin. So let's put some Sinew. And what I usually do is just drop this Sinew into a bucket so that it doesn't roll all over your house. Give this a couple wraps just to get it started on there. And then, if I push the right, a little bit more of a wrap. And then you can put your Sinew on your roll really fast. Okay, so there is a really cool tool. I like that one. So if you're interested, I'll have a link to Nikolay page where he sells all of his different dowels, but especially the one with the attachment in the end, because look how fast I just loaded that up. Okay, that was our commercial break. Let's get back to our Ronstar here on our overdye. So what I'm going to do to start with is just tie this tip off. I usually will wrap a couple times, pull it tight, and then I'm just going to quickly go through this Ronstar here so we can get to the dyeing process. So all of these lines that I tie with the Sinew are going to show up. So this here is going to be a red line on my design. So they're going to just show up whatever color they are. And this is a nice way to save a tee that didn't turn out how you wanted it to. And it doesn't have to be the Ronstar. You can tie any design you want. The Sinew is just going to give you those colored lines through there. So if you wanted to do a dream catcher or a lotus flower mandala, any of those ones, or you could loosely tie this up. And the main thing then when you're doing the overdye is just not to oversaturate it if you haven't used the Sinew. But since I'm using Sinew, I'm going to really saturate this because I want the tee to be mostly black and then have the colorful highlights shining through. So we'll call that good for the front of the design. Tie that knot off. And now the back of the design, because I pulled them out separate, so I have the back nice and centered here also. So for that one I'm going to do the same type of airplane fold, but I'll probably do like a dream catcher type design on this one. The main thing when you're folding the two sides of the t-shirt is just making sure you get all of the creases out, because sometimes just with the extra folds there you'll get some weird creases in there. So I just try to smooth those out as much as possible. Alright, one more fold and we'll start tying this one up. Okay, so now for the dream catcher, let's zoom in just a little bit here. For the dream catcher, what I like to do is just do two of them straight across, and what that's going to do is provide the shape of the outside of the dream catcher, like the ring. So I just go straight across the t-shirt. And usually I can just pull that tight and it'll do my accordion folding for me. But if it doesn't fold up nicely, then just do a quick accordion fold and just go straight across. And I'm going to just go over just a little bit. So I'm leaving just a little bit of a gap here between these two, and I'm going to tie another ring here straight across. Alright, and now from there for the dream catcher, you're just going to zigzag down. So I try to get that started at a zigzag as much of a, let's go a little closer here, and line the Sinew up right on top of itself and pull that tight, and then you're just going to zigzag the other direction. The main thing is just keeping all of your folds in there. And then I try to line that up where on the back side here I'm going right next to the other fold, or the other pull that I did. So I'm just going to zigzag all the way down. That's all I'm doing here. for me, I find that it helps if I just hold the t-shirt down with my flat hand, and then I can pull against that. And the other thing is making sure where the sinew is. I have it coming on the bottom side so that when I pull, it's not cutting into my hand here. If I turn this over and I pull too hard, then that sinew is pushing against my hand here. That's the reason for having the dowel also, so that you don't end up cutting your fingers while you're trying to pull the sinew too tight. And the other thing with sinew is I try to make sure that I'm pulling, if I'm pulling towards myself, I'm pulling low. If you pull and you have it pointed up, your fist pointed up towards your face, and the sinew breaks, it's possible you're going to punch yourself in the face. So that's one of the dangers work with sinew. You just have to be smart about ergonomics and how you are doing your pulling in what direction. So if I'm pulling away from me, then that's quite easy. If it breaks, then I'm not going to punch myself. Some of these folds are wanting to come undone down here at the tip, so you just got to kind of keep working at them. Alright, so there now is my dream catcher on the back of the tee. The other thing I like to do with my sinew is I always tie just a little bit of a knot in the end. That just allows me to find the place where I'm going to unravel this. So we're just going to leave that just like that. Now the rest of the tee, once you have it all tied up, you've got the two sleeves here that are still tucked inside each other. So what I'll usually do is then poke them down into their own shoulder hole here, just to keep them down flat. The other thing you could do, I guess, well, let's do that. Since we're doing an overdye, we're just going to fold these sleeves up also. So every bit of the shirt that you tie up with sinew is going to end up with colored lines showing through the black. Now if you have a lighter colored shirt, or you have one that's not as saturated, you don't have to go with black. You can go with any of the colors you want. Just know that they're going to mix. So like if I put yellow on this tee, then it's going to come out green just because I have a blue sleeve here. So I'm just going to fold this accordion fold straight across here, just for some fun extra color left in there on the sleeves. Figure out a way to put some more folds in. It's all tied up funky now. So what I'm going to do is try to get my 3 ties out here on the edge, just like that, just to get them out of my way. And then I'm just going to do a random scrunch on the rest of this and tie that up tight too. So you can kind of play. I did 2 chosen designs on the front and the back, and now the rest of the t-shirt is just going to be random. So, and you don't have to put this many ties in. I just decided, what the heck, I might as well. Okay, now let's break out some black dye. Let me set up, hold on. Okay, I'm back. And what I have here is a bottle of soda ash. I just put it in a spray bottle. Anytime I do a dry one, I'll usually give it just a little bit of a spritz. That just helps break the tension. Sometimes you put dye on a dry t-shirt and it just wants to roll off, spritzing with just a little bit of soda ash is going to help stop that. So now all I'm going to do is just really saturate this t-shirt well. So I'm just going to go through all these areas that we tied up and make sure that I get down in there really good. And then we're just going to dye the whole t-shirt. Okay, and there is an overdyed tee. We will have the results at the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and share my videos.